forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains, through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride.
Welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome back to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up your telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, or any topical issue, any subject matter. And most of all, you can change our subject anytime by coming up with your own issues. Politics in Grenada have always been a very interesting issue. Sometimes I think it's unfortunate we don't have much independent commentators and journalists. Almost all of our journalists have been political activists. Therefore, it is a game. Individual too, and he liked that, and perhaps that gave real energy to politics in Grenada. And every game was supported by the people from the lower socio-economic strata in Grenada. In fact, they used to accuse them for being ill. Not accuse them, it was a fact. They would say Gary supporters are illiterates. It doesn't mean that all of them couldn't read, but the majority of them couldn't read. Estate workers, they refer to them in very derogative terms. So when I was dancing, they let go. Very culture and expression. They used to have a tune, Take One In. That tune was hot. And gay rights, particularly the women, used to get on. Take one in. And also, we will never let our leader fall. And sometimes they used to sing, Where the Nutmeg Money? Because during that time, the Nutmeg and Cocoa Association have always been affiliated with political parties and seeking the interests of the political parties. So they take the nutmeg money and bank in Barbados. So this was where the money. Well, they bring back some. We never know what happened to the rest. In these recent times, Kit Mitchell has been a dance boy on the floor. I more like to consider him as doing the exercise dance. He's always exercising. Maybe he's a kind of fitness fanatic. And if you could see, wine is a kind of exercise one. In recent time, we have Bellows, a very unique, artistic, individualistic, and perhaps agricultural jab expression in wine. And the NDC, for a number of time, members of the NDC criticized Kit Mitchell wine, but not the wine. Even the preacher seems to master the art of soca. And Lacret pulling it out. Leave no stops. So it's interesting. It's nice. I enjoy it. I like the wine. I really like the cake wine. in Carriacou. Them women go down low with the cake wine. And NNP singing Open Lala is Kindra Day. Or Kindra Way. And NNC say Open Lala, we go Saraya Bamba. Nice expression. Well intertwined with the culture. And people enjoy themselves. It is a feeling in Grenada for the artists. If you see how women resign the jerseys and the clothes, and they have the flag, and I like the flag man in NDC, really putting it up. Very interesting. And the politics in Grenada is relatively peaceful. Our democracy in Grenada, I always say, Grenada is most mature where politics is concerned in the Caribbean. Most of the Caribbean countries, they give a political party 2 terms, get a little fed up with them, change them, give them 2 terms. In recent time, in St. Lucia is 1 term over the last 20 years. 1 term. So St. Lucia have very experienced politicians on both sides. You have about 3 ex-prime ministers running. And Philippe Pierre was in politics for about 6 terms. In Pakistan, in the last 47 years, no political party has survived more than 1 term. They have not even survived 5 years. So Grenada is very unique in the Caribbean, where a political party won 3 terms, got a break for 4.5 years, after the opposition win 11 seats, and come back and win on 2 occasions all the seats. That is significant. And some may ask why. I say maturity in politics. Grenadians know what they want. And they know when a political party don't really make much sense. And we have to call on the line and call welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. When I look at the NNP team with a leader with a vision, that and the children, which is the candidate, they run with a vision and they put the vision together to bring development to the country. And I want to say that's a mature team, a team that the people of Grenada can compete, see what this government is for, and they join with the government to bring prosperity and development to the people of Grenada can compete.
Color, what you think the people really see in the NNP government? Why do you think people gravitate? What they see, what they're satisfied with?
Okay, what is satisfied? Because you see that the NNP is a party that cares about the lower class of people. And this is the people in any country that need the help the most. Right? That they want those that you see the party that they want to reach out to help them and to better the living conditions. When you look at the tiling, when people used to use the pit tiling, there was days gone by. And when I always say, Mr. Pierre, isn't there like a one person in a home and rain like a bad weather, and you have to leave and go outside, your life could be in danger. No, but you could be in danger by someone maybe around your house, and you go outside, you could get trapped by someone. Even by a bad weather again, you could get knocked down and get killed by bad weather. When you have that inside, you have to go outside. You're safe and you're protected inside the home, right? And when you look again at the school uniform and bus allowance, for that again, this is something the majority of people who benefit from that is the poor class of people. When you look at the money workers again, it is something that's benefiting the poor people again. Even some middle class people benefiting from that. When you look at scholarship, again, it benefits from that. Because you know, like in going to school, you know you could make it, but because of the situation with your parents, you tell yourself, well, you make sense. You go and do that and be successful. You just cannot. It cannot help you. what is government coming and help? It's helping people of Green Caribbean people that is most in need. Not only I say everybody needs help, but there's some people that right down there pass which can help them. You may try hard and see you could. Right? But not only you say you have the idea, you have good plans. But then if you don't know what to help you with the plans and the idea that you have, there is political reach. And look again the sports scholarship. Look at the athletic stadium, cricket stadium. This is something that brings Grenada on the map. And with people hear about Grenada, what they want to read Grenada, they usually think with Grenada, they have to say in Spain. I remember when the American, when the Reagan tell them they had to go in Grenada, they thought it was Spain. Right? Was so that in 1983, there when the America really, some people in America really get to know there is a political Grenada. But the sports facilities with the stadium and the arrival of Pierre and James on the market, many people get to know there is a beautiful island in the Caribbean called Grenada. And the people, not only are beautiful, but the people are very lovely and very care about one another. So
hello. Why you think NDC was not as successful as NNP in this bill?
Well, I think what happened now, NDC look more at the upper class, the people that have, and they forget those at the bottom. And I always say those at the bottom and are always the majority. And I could say that if you check the money workers, right? When NNP left office, the wage bill for Amman was about $21 million. But it ended up, it gone up to about 27. So, and the year they still fire the e-money workers, but the wage will go up. So who they was hired? There was advisors. And when you look at it, this is a minority. So this priority politics is about more people. Like if let's say an example, Mr. Pierre. If you have to build a road for 1 month benefit, and then you have to build a road for 20 or 50 persons to benefit, which one will you build?
You want to build a road where the majority of people benefits and exactly. The economy moves.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, so you have to look at those that where you could get, you make it hard, but you could get 30, 40 votes. But the one person that you want to build a road to go up to his home, so that all he and the children might live, and 2 children might live in it, they might 3 votes. You understand? So politics is about people, and you have to look at the majority of needs of the people, and those need it the most. Everybody needs it, but then there is some need greater than other needs. And the difference between these two parties, NNP people, as just as Gary, they look more at the need or the poor class of the people, which is always the majority. And I always say, when you do good to people, they will come and reach us back and help you, and they always remember the good you did to them. And when you do wickedness to people, they might forgive you, but they go always remember the wickedness you do to them.
Yes, scholar. Thank you.
All right, so all of this.
Yes, scholar. Thank you. It's very important for politicians to understand that the democratic system is about one man, one vote. And since when you have your constituency, you, that person that run in that constituency, have an obligation to do your best to accomplish the wishes of that constituency. So I developed the habit of always asking people, what is it you want? What is it you want to see in your community? One individual said, the people in one area told the minister, we have 2 roads that reach in a dead end. We want a bridge. We want to join the road. That was delivered. You see, the government might build a harbor in St. George's or in any country, an international airport. But if the people in Ticolo have been totally ignored, when election time comes, they're going to vote for somebody else. Sometimes they just vote for an orator with charisma that make them promise. But they're going to turn their back on you because you did not seek their interest. And it's a very important thing for politicians to remember. And it's also important when you have politicians involved in the people's daily life. Your life must almost be a model. And some people are so I tend to look at some of the successful politicians in the Caribbean. And more often than not, these people are deeply involved in the constituency. They're not easily separated. They're married. They have their children. They're very family committed. When the people cry, they're with them. When they mourn, they're in the fete. So they are deeply rooted in the community. And they are much more understanding of the needs of the people. And we want to welcome SU in the house and our sister from Carriacou. We always, every time I see a post on SGU, I go back to Eric Matugeri, an individual that did not even have a secondary school education. But he was so convinced that education is the answer, that in his 13 and a half years, he practically built all the school that was necessary in Grenada. 28 schools in 13 and a half years. And primary education, and pre-primary education, and land for the landless, and independence. But he constantly went after our people mentality. Encouraging them, education is the answer. And that is when parents used to sing the song, children go to school and learn well. I think it was Sparrow. When they had the kids that didn't want to do their homework, the parents couldn't even read what is in the book, but they was singing those songs. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother.
Well, and just listening what you're saying as to the achievement of Eric Matugeri and what he still underwent as to the opposition. They never recognized anything that he did as to the development of Grenada. Up to this day, we hear the speaks of others. And, it's so hypocritical at times, it makes me wonder, as a people, why we should be doing that to ourselves and to our brethren. Eric Matugeri has done a lot where education is concerned. Because even though there's school, people can go to school under a tree. That can happen. Because he could only be for a season when the sun is very hot. And the rest of the time, you just cannot go to school under a tree. And we find, when you heard the thing that was said about Eric Matugeri, when they had a plot to get rid of him, because he was very difficult to get rid of in the polls, because he was really to the people and the people was really to him. The faction that went after him could have only done it with a gun. They could have only done it with a gun because they could not prove themselves in the polls. The people never was for them to that extent. They had a fraction, but not enough to get rid of Eric Matugeri. And now we find the same behavior going on with the Dr. Mitchell. That whatever he has done in Grenada, you hear people, big, educated people, intelligent, they call themselves, they went to university and colleges, making people believe these are places you must be frightened to go, because when you have to go there and come back out, and certain statement they're making and certain behavior they carry, and you are not making sense going to a university or a college. When they come back in Grenada and behaving like they had never went anywhere, and telling me that Dr. Mitchell as a leader has never done anything for this country. What he do, and asking people to show what do.
You see, caller, people have been saying that, but a lot of supporters or political activists or even government ministers have not been spelling out profoundly what they did. And that's important, because if you go on the radio station and you repeat propaganda constantly, the younger generation is going to believe you. Yes, caller?
Hello?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah. So, it goes, I listen to a lot of the stories on them and I'll ask the question. Because I was looking at something that was posted up on the social media. Something on a Brian Grimes story. Something he had put out there. Where he wouldn't show himself exactly who his supporters are individual based on where he stands as a UNM leader. But something that was placed under his writings is like he was very critical against the NMP to a lot of things with workers is concerned. And to a lot of things that was not going the way of workers, the NMP was to be deployed based on what he posed. But there were so many things that was achieved by workers, and he never put that part where who was responsible for workers being able to inherit those things. And then I see post one where he speaks about who caused politicians to having a parliamentarian to having a pension after a particular time. But that's a next story which I believe you must not mislead people. Because there is things we speak about when NDC was in office. And you hear the claim to say that is the NDC long time ago, that's a new brand NDC now, a new set of faces. But it's the same name, NDC. But he is still bold enough to speak up NMP under Hubert Blazerain. And it is claimed it's the NMP that done it. So Dr. Mitchell is the leader right now, so he's the one in the picture. Yes, we can run from that. But the fact is that we never heard Dr. Mitchell went after that particular one, that the pension of parliamentarians should be removed. Because he's so much an honest and he's a gentleman and a man that stands for what has he tried to be very much. I can't get what to really pity him, but by speaking about it being honest then. He should have been speaking about the pension if he's finding it was something wrong, because what Dr. Mitchell did in his reign is to regularize the pension, make it that you must make at least 4 years in the government or in the parliament to consider as a term.
And this pension issue is going to backfire badly on politicians in the future. It's practically deceitful and shameful for the unions to be attacking politician pensions, because the unions have a representative in the Senate and they never move a motion to change that. It is stupid and politically backward for the opposition to not to support politicians to get a pension, because look at the amount of young people are going to politics now, and they would end up broken and bankrupt.
But no, look really going on the hypocrisy. You don't believe they're not in support of it. But at this time it's the NNP government in office, and it's affecting them. But there is NDC government ministers that is inheriting the pension as well right now. That is benefiting from this very pension. They're speaking about it. There's NNP minister that was there before, people like that was there. And I won't call them, but I know them very well. That is inheriting the pension right now. So when you hear Brian Grimes and them putting up things and trying to make people to believe different about the NNP, they must come out with all the facts, come out with all the stories, that people have a good wide range of things in front of them, so they could sit down and make a good, they could analyze for their own self and put one-on-one together and see how things work out. Don't give them only one fraction about it and you hide the next part, because there was a lot of other things that workers in Grenada benefit under this reign of the NNP. And the very top pension they're speaking about hasn't been for the NNP. His pension issue would have never reached where it is, where workers have a right to fight for it, because it was always there, but they couldn't go forward with it because it was in a position that no worker had no right to go after it.
Yes, Colin,
it's only NMP that bring it to where it is right now.
Yes, thank you.
All right then, have a nice day.
I think the on the question of pension again, I think is basically a technicality in the law or interpretation of the Constitution, because the NIS was supposed to replace the Provident Fund and the pension for established public officers, and NIS supposed to replace both of these pensions. And the NIS is a contributory pension where the government pay 5% and the employee pay 4%. Well, now it's 5 and 6, 11%. And these things was going on throughout the whole Caribbean, because under the government pension, it was not a scheme. No money was put aside for you. But government expanded the public service and felt at the time that you must have a pension to cover everybody. So when people saying there was no pension, that was not true. Anybody who say it, whether it's a politician or the unions. But you remember, it's a democracy. And the unions have a right to support the political party that they want. But if they want to campaign, campaign. I am sometimes disappointed that politicians don't call them out and tell them campaign. And you don't see them really publicly defending issues. They make broad statements, but they do defend issues. Traditionally, public officers never really support Gary. The majority of established public officers was not supportive of Eric Gary and God. They see themselves as the higher echelons of society, the educated people, the smart people, people in upper class. And they felt it wasn't comfortable to support the people in the lower class. These things still exist to some measure. Take, for instance, Tilaita's daughter. Tilaita had 10 children. She poor more than church mice. But some of the children don't want to identify with her because they have university graduate and they're in the upper class. We have a caller on the line, caller Punch.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead, yeah.
We know what I find so strange with that. Anything that benefits the poor class of people, right? The opposition, I will consider it as a waste of money. A waste of money in the government, inheritance and help these people, a waste of money. But I want to let them know. When you always good to remember where you came out from. And the one that forget where he came from, you will always continue to make a mistake and you go back there where you want to be. And you always say,
my brother,
some people they went to study, they get a degree.
My brother, let me
a village. And they leave the village and they go and live somewhere else. And they will never end up go back in the village to see where they came from. They turn back on the village. And one time they will go back in the village when they want to run, get involved in politics, and they go there and tell people, oh, I love you, I'm from that village. When I say you have to be there, you must never forget where you came from. You came from a village where the people there was poor, you were poor. But someone helped you to reach a position. So if someone helped you, you must reach out and help somebody. You don't have to be in politics to help someone. You don't have to have crumbs and crumbs to help someone. The little that you have, you can reach out and help someone in need. So, Mr. Pierre, have a blessing.
Yes, caller, and caller, I was interrupting you to tell you that is one of the biggest challenge facing our country. Some people believe that if they are successful, they're no longer to identify with the community they're from. So I thank you for making that point. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges we have in our country. Governments, politicians have invested immensely in education, programs, infrastructure, but politicians have not attacked these individuals who abscond the community. They walk away from family members just because they believe they're poor. They rove the airways correcting people grammar because they swallow the dictionary and they're using it to intimidate other people. I have listened to radio station laugh at people when they call on radio station. That is one of the reasons I come on radio. Because I believe Derek Walcott wrote about the class structure in Grenada. And this is why Eric Matthew Gary, he never been to a secondary school. He was black. He's from the country. But he, more than anyone else, believed in education. The University of the West Indies, not the University of the West Indies. The University of the West Indies was against Eric Gary, even the university, when he was pushing St. George's University. The University of the West Indies never support Forbes Bonham in Guyana, when he was pushing grow what you eat and eat what you grow. The Americans and them, they put all kind of pressure on the university, on Guyana, and Jamaica with democratic socialism, and our intelligentsia generally shut them out. And this is one of the challenge. John Compton said, the University of the West Indies has not done justice for agriculture. He said, Today, we're fighting with the hoe and the spade, so we're worse off than in the days of Pharaoh, because today we have the hoes and the spade. While the university has done a great job internationalizing the Caribbean and giving us international recognition, they have abandoned some basic salient principles of development. What role the university play in helping us solve the problem of beekeeping? What role the university play in helping us solve the problem of fishing? What role the university play in helping us solving the problem of agriculture? The University of West Indies should come up already with some suggestion what we do with the seaweed. Look at our university graduates. They swallow the grammar book. And I think quite a lot of them are unproductive. And they don't identify with the communities, if the communities, particularly from rural Grenada. And this is a challenge we have. Government have invested immensely in our people to get master's and bachelor's degree. And since they get the degree, they look as if they're walking around with it in a briefcase. And they're not helping find solutions. That is one of the challenges we have. So you have a community, you have a number of educated individuals from the community, but the group in the community seeing trouble to write a letter because none of them have a computer. The teacher won't join the group, the senior public officer won't join the group, the union leaders won't join the group, the doctor, the nurse won't join the group. Now, don't believe me. Examine all the groups in the community. Go and speak to the cricket clubs. They're struggling. Sometimes they come and ask for a donation. They say we had to write you a letter, but the secretary go away. And the secretary don't get it yet. Because those who have intelligence in our country, if they get a chance, they are abandoning us. And this is one of the biggest fundamental challenges in Grenada. As soon as we could fix that, as soon as we could address this issue, we would make headway by leaps and bounds. Because the politicians have created the correct environment, the infrastructure to help this country develop. I say to people, Grenada is one of the most land owners in the region. This is extremely significant because people don't have to have permission to make decisions in the land. Look in your community and see how much people renting, paying rent for where they live in. And they have a portion of land. Electricity, telephone, water, internet. The roads in Grenada is relatively good. We have a caller on our line. Caller, Punch.
Yes, sir.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Well, I called to let you know the village meeting which I spoke about yesterday was a success.
It was good.
When the Prime Minister came last night, he said it was a small rally. Mount Rich and Mount Julian thanks the people for coming out so heavy last night. I believe they accept the fact that's the way forward. And we want to have that momentum. They really showed their support last night. I heard you say that we have good. This morning I was told from St. David's that he have some misbehavior emerging there where Oliver posters, billboard, people start painting. We don't know if it's one person, we don't know who it was. So, but some people was calling on the leader to speak to his supporters because he have to be them painting Oliver billboard in St. We don't want this thing to happen because the election was going nice, as you say.
But you see, you have to have the voices on the radio. Remember, for years we had people on the radio station pushing hate, pushing fracture of the country. We are loyal, encouraging the partition of the parish. And they don't even care if they align with Australia or New Zealand once it's not Grenada. You know, these things, the voices should come out and object to it. if you do these things, people would recognize that this little country of ours, all of us have to live in it and love it. Yes, so I think that's where it have to be. As the next few days warm up, people could lose their patience a bit, but you need the voices on radio and other personalities to ask people to tone down. And all political leaders is in their interest. There always will be some that want to disrupt the peace, the tranquility and harmony of this country. But the majority of people must encourage them otherwise. Yeah? Thank you, Colin.
If you will permit, tomorrow night we go to Mali Crossroad by Lamont Ceres Junction tomorrow night. The NNP band will walk a road tomorrow night.
In Mali?
Mali Crossroad between Ceres. The road that leads to Ceres and Sates and around by Bobla. This is Bobla area.
Okay, thank you, Colin.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I think the political system, as the tension come around, as I said earlier, Karakou, I like the cake dance. One side singing Open Lala, next side say they go Sadashi Bam Bam. I mean, it's good. When you listen to those songs, it's pretty good, interesting, and etc. But you want people look at the fun in it, the humor in it, and remember we all have to live together after. We go to the same church. The funerals, some members are different relatives on both sides. And our electoral process in Grenada, you don't have to worry about it. It is free. It is fair. And it is free from fear. So you expect whoever win, they win. And whoever lose, they lost. You don't have to worry about that. The process over the years, it has always been free and fair. Each political party send a representative, an agent we call them, to seek their interests in the polling station. So a polling station would have a presiding officer, a poll clerk, 2 policemen, and an agent for each political party. They would come with a list of names. The presiding officer would synchronize his time, or his or her time, 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe about 5 to 6. He would ask all of them to make certain they watch at a timepiece on same time with him or her. And throughout they tend to have their own list. The official list is what the presiding officer have, but it's the same thing they have on the names. They have the pen and the marker. They study the list. It's only about 200 people or 300 people on that list. These people go through the list repeatedly so they know the names. They know everybody on that list. If somebody happened to die, well, if you register in 1920 or 21 and you're dead, your name will still be on the list. Because to remove a name from the list, they have to make sure they have the death certificate. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
And also to the listening public. To me, straight to the point. We are living in a storybook world. Fantasy. I never believed that I would have lived to see that the USA, I'm not against America, would a world police protector of democracy, the crusher of terrorists, Islamic Jihad, ISIS, Taliban, the Shining Path, and many other guerrilla organizations. I say that to say America is the greatest. It surprised me to see that they're the greatest terrorists right now in the world. No, there is nothing the President Sleepy Joe and Congress can do about it. It looks so. And look at who the USA, look at who the terrorists are targeting, their own students and teachers in school and shopping mall. And that is just the slope. The worst is yet to come. NATO soldiers commit so much atrocity against innocent women. Rape, murder. The highest degree, to the highest degree. Look at the election results in the USA. They almost end up in civil war. America is a sodomite country and it is a curse by Jah. And Congress is blind and dotish. CIA spent 20 years of military in Afghanistan after spending billions of dollars to arm them and train them. The Taliban chased them out. Not a slingshot was fired against the soldiers. Not a catapult was fired against the Taliban forces as they take full control back from the army America installed. The Taliban has a difference, but they will not fight with the people for America. Sleepy Joe, Biden and Congress should have known that. Very unsensible as superpower in the world. Thank you, Zappe.
Yes, scholar, and sometimes it's difficult to understand the mega politics, the politics of those big countries. But all of them have done things that is despicable. One of the pluses in United States, you could hear what United States do because they generally have a press that is freer. But in Russia and China and other countries, people would go to jail if the press is generally controlled. In Grenada, we are very fortunate. We have a free press. Perhaps we have more radio stations than anybody else in the Caribbean region. Because a small country like ours, 110,000, 100,000 people, and we have more than 30 registered radio stations and social media. And we're relatively free. And our election is relatively safe. But almost everybody in the world wants to go to America. And you see, that is where the paradox is concerned. Even Grenadian communists, all of them go in America. Those individuals in 1980, 79 to 83, that jailed over 3,000 Grenadians. A similar number to run away and go to foreign countries and supervise over the worst crimes in Grenada after slavery and colonialism. All the communists in America. They did not go to China, Russia, or Cuba. And it means, even if these countries are terrible, people feel they have a better chance. People are more hopeful. You have immigrants from all over the world making to America. They have a summit going on now, and over 4,000 immigrants in Mexico at the American border waiting to cross. So, you know, this geopolitics, we have to seriously sit down and discuss it. But while that is going on the 23rd, Grenada, after getting a second chance against Marxist-Leninism in 1983, will be going back to the polls to select a government of their choice. Both political parties seem to be confident, but you want them to be realistic. You know, you want them to be realistic. I don't agree sometimes with the attacks of politician and pension. I believe the politician deserve the pension. And people muddle up everything. They say government is against a pension. Well, the matter has been settled in court as far as I'm concerned. That public officers have to get two pensions. One they contribute to, and one the government have to give them. And this could have serious economic consequences, as all of them would acknowledge. And one would hope that government don't go after social programs, because that is the worry. It has happened before. Mr. Blaze retrenched workers and cut social program. George Brizan retrenched workers and cut social program. And this government has not cut social program. In fact, they have expanded it. And the tax threshold. And this is important, because that is where your macroeconomic policies are. What would be your tax policy? What would be your attitude to tourism? Sometimes when you hear people talking, it's icing they put in a cake. And you have to be able to read between the lines. You know, if they don't intend to change the macroeconomic policy, then it boils down to experience and other issues. Unless they have a fundamental change to macroeconomic policy. Some people say transformation, but what is your change? What you're transforming in your macroeconomic policy? What you're transforming in your taxation policy? People who from the lower socio-economic strata should make certain that no politician interfere with the tax threshold of $3,000. If you're not making $3,000 in Grenada, you do not have to pay personal income tax. You pay same tax like a vagrant or a mental case in the mental institute. And that is significant. And because of government's strong social program, it means that there is a sponge on the ground. So if the poor of the poor fall, they would not bruise unduly. It's very important. And where education is concerned, we must never compromise. We must never compromise that no child and no person in Grenada would be able to say that my child cannot go to school because he don't have the basic requirements. This is something the poor of the poor, you must take the interest. And we must do everything in our power to change the mentality of our children and our brothers and sisters who have tertiary education, so that they don't abandon the community. Maybe the dentist in Ticolo will go back and talk to the children in his school and encourage his sister for the children to do dental care. People like to talk about health care, but I don't hear them speaking about all this rice and macaroni pie and soda, Coke and Solo and whatever people consuming. The most consumption in the world in Coca-Cola is in Mexico. And people are worried that it's a health hazard, the consequences of Mexico consuming the most Coke in the world, Coca-Cola. So if you eat all sort of junk, you're more likely to end up with dietary disease, like diabetes, high blood pressure. And you know when you have diabetes, whap, they cut out your food. So over the last 15 years, Grenada have seen more incidents of people losing part of their limb. And the same set of people, if you hear them talk about health care, we have a call on the line, call a punch.
Hello, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, sister, welcome.
Who you ever hear coke kill?
Nobody.
Because I learn understand that I hearing a lot of things what people die of, but I never hear they say coke kill nobody.
They classify those countries who consume the most coke Mexico is the biggest consumption of Coca-Cola in the world.
how much?
And then they look at the dietary disease associated with it. Because sugar, about 6 to 7 grams of sugar in every cook. So they say the consumption of excess sugar worse than cigarette smoking. And it contributes to fatter people in the community. You're big and you're fatter. And as a result, you're more likely to have diabetes.
Yeah, but the important thing I don't hear is say coke kill nobody.
No,
I
Coke
hear
don't
all
kill
kind of
nobody.
things.
Diabetes that causes you to lose your food.
Okay.
Not
I'm
Coke.
listening. All right.
So if you continue drinking Coke, you're more likely to have diabetes. Just as people who are big smokers, they're more likely to have lung cancer. If you're drinking plenty rum, particularly on a Friday when you get paid, you're most likely to lose all your money.
We know all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, so it's a question of your lifestyle. And this is perhaps why some people in Grenada encourage you to exercise, dance, have fun, any way you could use to lose extra pound. If you're a hard worker, but you're eating these things, you're going to burn it out. But if you're not walking, and we don't walk as much as we used to before because the roads are good and we have a lot of vehicles. So this is one of the reasons when you're talking about your health, preventative health and primary health care is paramount. And a lot of it have to do with us. Dental hygiene. That's why if the doctor from Ticolo come back and talk, Ticolo people like to say we have one dentist. But it's difficult to get our better educated people to understand that they have to continue contributing to the people in the lower socio-economic strata. We must never believe that education put us in our most social class. And caller, you could give us a call. The number to call is 4420175. Somebody from Facebook, exactly. NIS was meant to replace the pension. This is what I have been saying. Yes. So when people say they're not getting a pension in Grenada and they work with government, it is not true. NIS was meant to replace the pension, the established pension. NIS is a contributory pension. The state pension as we know it was not contributory. And government felt at some stage because of the change in economics and government become the biggest employer, it is going to be a burden to government. But because of a technicality in the law, I consider there's a technicality in the law. We have a caller on the line. Caller, punch.
Good morning or good afternoon, whatever.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
First time I listening to you.
You have to speak up a little. I hardly could hear you.
Good afternoon or
Yeah.
good morning.
Yes, good day.
First time I listening to you. Who that Ticolo dentist?
I didn't hear that part.
Who is that Ticolo dentist?
Well, she's not coming back. You see, when you have people who are educated in the village, if you look around your community, watch and see how much of the people who are medical doctors, lawyers, bright people that involve in the development of your community. Our brightest sons and daughters must involve in the development of our community.
Certainly.
So it's only one doctor that Ticolo have. They doesn't talk about the doctors, medical doctor, they have more. But it's only one dentist. So that's why they speak about her. And she have a lot of family in the community. But she doesn't come back. She in St. George's, she don't coming back. She don't know the road good in Ticolo, everything good. She don't coming back. So what we do, we encourage even some of our children. As soon as they graduate in school, sometimes they don't even want to walk in the street with their mother again. They say, she drinking rum. It's like Tilaita. Tilaita had 10 children. The daughter come out in town. To bring Tilaita in town, she said she had to go and do here. because she hear the because she don't feel proud of the mother. And we have to encourage our children to do better.
Thank you.
So we go develop the community. Yes, caller, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yes, it's an important thing. We have achieved a lot in Grenada. We have a lot of infrastructure. Our politicians have done a fantastic job. Some of them is quite true when you give them the battle followed at the hand, they break lane, etc. But if you look at our successful politicians in Grenada, they are the best professional I know of. They're more dedicated, committed, conscientious, they're genuine. Whether it's a funeral, you see them there looking as if they're crying. They have compassion. Since 5 o'clock in the morning, people not afraid to go to the politician door. They're very helpful. And if they give their brother 2 shit galvanized, people cussing them. They mustn't give their brother. People don't want them get paid. They don't want them get pension. Over the years, I see politicians retire. They lose their posts in politics and they couldn't pay their medical bills. I know one medical doctor that was in politics. Some people sorry for him. They had to raise funds for him to pay his bills. Well, he did. After he died, them other doctors said, thank God, $10 doctor done. They raised the fee from 20 to 40. And when Dr. Klein died, they said, thank God, they raised the medical fee from 40 to 60. Well, you know the revolution killed Dr. Japal. And when the revolution finished with Dr. Japal, people say the soul of the revolution died. So we had good examples. But in this day, more and more, we have some people that parading the doctorate and the PhD and they abscond the community. And we can't do it without them. We have to beg them. We have to plead with the lawyer not to partition the parish. We're seeking one CARICOM. He want to partition a parish and let it go on a line with Australia and New Zealand. And you don't even ask them, you know. The same thing when they wanted to have unitary state. They never discuss it with Trinidad. And people say, well, Dundan and Wega trick us again. We have to be realistic. We have to be practical. There are certain things that are achievable and it could be achieved. But we cannot be casting aspersion and demeaning our people simply because they are from the lower economic strata. We have to remember that those of us who have tertiary education, government help a lot of them. And they have a responsibility, they have a duty, they have an obligation to help back the community. And we need to see them in the groups. We need to see them helping, developing the clubs. And people mustn't be afraid to tell them that. You need to come back and help your family and help your community. And you could join us tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another program of On Target when you have the opportunity to punch.
As a people unite.